everyone, and welcome to our program this evening. Today we will learn how to cleanse and balance our bodies using medicinal Ayurveda principles with our presenter, Josephine Fanelli. Josephine is the owner and founder of YogiSTRONG. She is a certified Ayurveda health counselor and herbalist, as well as a yoga teacher trainer. She is a Concord resident, and how long have you lived here? Since 2016. Since 2016. So if you want to find out more information, she has her business cards on the table, as well as some information as other programs and workshops that she does in the area. And she has several recipes that she made this evening, all vegetarian. So if you have any questions as far as those after the presentation, we can taste test. Okay. So I will hand it over to Josie.
Pop over here so that way I can see the screen with you guys. Okay. All right. So first I want to thank you for coming tonight. I know it's really hot outside, and the whole reason why we're here is to do an Ayurvedic cleanse talk. And we can do these talks seasonally because we change physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically as the seasons change or as stress comes upon us. So we're going to concentrate more on the summer cleanse. And it's not even a cleanse necessarily, it's just how you should be eating for the summer months. As we change and go through things, we need to adapt. Ideally, you would want to be doing these cleanses or start to eat for your quarter about 2 weeks prior to it happening. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. You know, we have like a late winter or however, so you continue to eat the way that you needed to until you felt the weather shift, ideally. So here we're going to talk about Ayurveda. For those who don't know what Ayurveda is, we'll be talking about our doshas and our digestive health. A little more about me, but Amy covered most of it, so we're just going to go past that. Okay, so we're going to learn about what are our doshas, know the importance of eating for our dosha type, gain a little bit of knowledge about what is Agni. Recognize that Agni's role to wellness. We'll understand how our digestion relies on our Agni, and then we'll talk about the foods for summer wellness. So first, for those of you who are new to Ayurveda, what is Ayurveda? So Ayurveda is the science of life, or life science. It is a manual to a healthy and happy existence. You think about your life as you age, you grasp ideas on how to be and how to live. No one just hands you a manual. No one tells you or prepares you to live life. We're all raised, groomed, and hoped to succeed. But most of us don't get the technology of living a healthy, happy, longer life. And ideally, that's what we want. That's my whole premise with YogiSTRONG, is that happiness is your right, and you need to learn how to get there. And through all of our techniques, including eating healthy, allows us to be more fulfilled and happy. Ayurveda is the life science technology. For over 2,000 years of life science has been handed down from one generation to the next. It's an Indian philosophy. So here, this is from one of their manuals. Basically, what it's saying here is one who is established in self, who has balanced doshas. The doshas are that principal life force, and we're going to get into more of that in a moment. Who has a balanced Agni, that digestive fire, when it's balanced. We have properly formed dhatus, which are tissues in the body. And we have proper elimination of bodily waste, whether it be sweat, feces, or urine. Well-functioning bodily processes that we can absorb and process everything, and whose mind, soul, and senses are full of bliss is called a healthy person. Now, I don't know one person right now who can say that this is all true, because with, just thinking of our mind, our senses, and our spirit, do we feel disconnected and, struggling? And I want to tell you right now that the most important thing that I teach throughout all of my classes is that you have to have a strong mind and a healthy mind. It doesn't matter how well you eat. If your mind is not settled and you are not happy, your body will not digest the food properly in order for you to absorb it the way you need to. So I'm always going to say the first thing that you need to do is concentrate on your mental health, self-care, and really establishing the pillars of life: sleeping properly, eating properly, having self-care, you know, enjoying your lifestyle. And once your mind and your energy can flow better, then all these foods can really benefit you fully. Not that they're not going to benefit you totally, but having that essence of yourself be established is most important. So doshas. So we have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And we're going to get more into that in a minute, but we all have 3 constitutions in the body. Some of us have more constitutions than another. What does that look like when a healthy individual has all their constitutions working for them properly? We have awareness on how we eat, sleep, exercise, meditate, and do self-care. We have a healthy lifestyle diet. We lessen sensory stimulation. That means computers, phones, anything with a screen. We would be mindful, respectful, sincere, and generous with others and ourselves. We are making wise choices. We're living that happier, healthier life while keeping dis-ease at bay, that stress that always brings us down. And we're able to see the macrocosm and the microcosm within all aspects of creation and life. So what that means is that if we're, you know, in our home and it's in disarray, and you know that disarray doesn't work for you because it's too chaotic, then everything that's going on mentally, emotionally, physically is going to be a little bit more chaotic. The same with the weather. When it's crazy storming outside, you might feel your energy is a little bit more off, or in this heat, when it's really hot, you might feel more irritable. So you can see how those things are in relation. And that's also how we're going to look at how we process our food for the summer. So what are doshas? So Ayurveda categorizes 3 types of energy groups called doshas, that Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. They are built from 5 elements, the Panchamahabhutas, and that's the ether, air, fire, water, and earth. We all know these, you know, element processes. These are the pillars of how everything else gets built. So ether is space. Space is noticeable, like between our ears, where there's holding and vibration. Air, it's not just what we breathe, but it's also seen in places that have movement, like the heart and respiratory and other involuntary movements. Fire is that heating process responsible for digestion, temperature, and the subtleness within the ears, skin, eyes, tongue, and nose. Water maintains electrolyte balance and plasma, which is 90% water, allowing nutrients to flow from one part to another part of the body. And earth is the most dense and noticeable within our bodies. For instance, our bones, nails, hair, teeth, cartilage, and skin. So these 5 elements make up all of matter, but one or more may be more dominant within each of the matter. And so those doshas you'll see here in just a moment. Vata on the top is going to have more ether and air. Pitta is going to be more fire and water. And Kapha is earth and water. And you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with food? What does this have to do with, you know, how I'm going to be eating and cleansing? Well, if you think of summer as being hot, then we're going to look at Pitta. So this would be a Pitta time of year. This is when things are going to be more hot, and with fire and water, sometimes there's a lot of steam, and that's where we get irritability. You know, if we're not having enough water in our body to handle the stresses and the sun, that's where that irritability comes in. So we can look at all of these throughout all the seasons, and we're going to get into more of that in a moment. There's a saying that says, just as the moon, sun, and wind sustain the world, Kapha, Pitta, and Vata sustain the body by promoting strength, reducing strength, and initiating action. So they all work together. You can't have one without the other. So here, Vata is that ether and air, and it governs movement. That movement consists of breathing, muscles, menstruation, urine and bowel, heart, cellular level, orgasm, sneezing, respiratory, circulation, communication, joy, creativity, and that's just to name a few. Pitta, that fire and water, it governs our digestion, taste, thirst, appetite, nutrition, regulating body temperature, assimilation, and every transformation and more. Kapha is the earth and water. It makes up our body structure. It lubricates the skin and joints and gives water to the body and systems, aiding in immunity and memory retention. So you can clearly see how all three of these doshas are needed in order for us to have bodily function, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, and energetic. Each dosha has 2 dominant elements, even though they carry all 5 elements within them. Just like we might have 1 or 2 doshas more dominant, but we carry all 3 doshas within our body. So here you can see the vata was for the fall and the winter. Pitta is our summer. Kapha is our spring. So if you have a really hot summer and you don't balance out that pitta constitution that might be rising up from the heat and how we're eating, and you're drying out a little bit more, by the time fall comes, that vata aspect of yourself is going to be aggravated, meaning that you're going to have dry skin. It's going to be itchy. You're going to be constipated, possibly constipated. You're going to have all the, be in more pain, all the things that are associated that could be represented by vata. So we want to balance ourselves out in the summer. So by the time fall comes around, it doesn't hit us so hard as we change into that season. And this is going to be the same as we move through all the seasons. In vata, if we balance that out through fall and winter, by the time kapha comes around in the spring, we'll be able to not be having to worry about our allergies as much. Kapha is the kapha season. When we come out of winter is when everything melts. So if we're holding on to a lot in the body and we don't eat properly, by the time spring comes around, everything's going to be draining, more mucus, we won't process it properly. So if we eat and keep our mental stability in good health, we'll be able to process how our body changes in that macro to microcosm throughout each season. Does that make sense? So with doshas, we also have age cycles. So people of certain ages will be more, have more issues in those areas. For instance, babies to 13 or even up to 20 are going to have more kapha aspects. Because kapha is bone, it's building, it's thick, it's mucousy. Everybody's sticky and mucousy at that time. All our bones are growing. And children and teens are eating a lot and they're craving sweets. And that's because that's what kapha is. Like goes to like. Pitta, anywhere between 13, 20 on up to 50. That's when we're in school, we're figuring out our career, we're getting into a lifestyle with family or friends and just figuring things out. But then when you get around 50 and up, we go into a vata lifestyle where you have to change the way you eat. Your skin gets a little bit more drier, you have less elasticity. There's just things that are going on. So you'll see that you won't be able to eat the same as you did when you were in your 30s for the pitta, or even in your teens with the kapha. By the way, this picture, oops, we'll go back. Hold on here. Go back. I was going to say this cute little picture, wherever it went. Is my family. Oh, my grandfather, my mom, and me when I was a kid. I thought it was a great photo to see the generations. So this is a lot to take in, and I don't expect you to remember everything that I'm talking about. So we are recording this, so if you want to go back and look at it at another time or ever meet with me about it, we can. So doshas, not only do we have the doshas in our body, not only do we have the doshas seasons that are changing, we also have doshas at different times of day. So you could find at certain times of day, you're going to feel more tired than others because perhaps that's the kapha time of day. Kapha is heavy, it's dense, it's, things that settle, it's cooler. So you will see that represented between 7 and 10, either AM or PM. Those are the times. Vata is the 2 to 6 AM or PM. This is a time when you would have a bowel movement normally, when you're waking up the senses or getting ready to wake up. This is a time to have hot water or warm water, a great time to study and meditate. Normally, you would want to wake up to meditate before the sun rises. They say an hour and 36 minutes before the sun rises is the best time to wake up to meditate. This is Brahma Muhurta, and it allows you to meditate when the Earth's electromagnetic field is at its quietest. And this also happens in the evening, so between 2 and 6. Pitta is between 10 and 2. That's that fire. That's when our digestion is the most happening. So you want to have your biggest meal of the day be at noon. And then at bedtime, you don't want to eat heavy, but if you don't go to bed on time, you notice how you normally get a little bit hungry and you're like, when you stay up later, that's because your pitch is kicking in and your body's like, maybe it's time to eat again. So you can see the fluctuation throughout the day within yourself. And you might be wondering, well, how do I know what is more constitutional for me, Vata, Pitta, or Kapha? So how do I know how to eat? Because as we move through this, I'm going to give recommendations on what to eat for the summer. But if you have more Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, you might have to change it up a little bit and eat a little bit differently. So I'm today going to give you a general idea of how you should be eating for the summer, but perhaps you want something more personalized. So Vata people tend to be a little tall, tend to be very tall or very short. They tend to be very slim. They might have irregular appetites, sleep very lightly, sleep may be interrupted. They like to talk a lot. Tendency towards having gas and bloating. They move fast or walk fast and are active. They love warmth. Because Vatas can feel cold and dry all the time. They are also nervous and have a restless mind, but they are very, very adaptable. And again, you can think of yourself, maybe you are Vata, but maybe you're not Vata, but as you change into the Vata stage of life, you might notice that you have some of these start to happen. Doesn't mean your constitution changes, it just means that there's an imbalance now moving towards the Vata area. Then we have Pittas. Pittas are medium framed. They normally are very athletic. Their weight is not too light or too heavy. Some may have sensitive eyes to light or have eye issues, have an appetite and thirst in abundance, and will prefer to have cold, sweet liquids. They're excellent at concentrating and with for learning. They say Pittas go bald earlier in life or have thinner hair because the body is so hot that it burns the top of the head. They also have a lot of wisdom. The anger can easily arise, though, in the Pitta, and they can be very critical and show judgment. You can tell somebody, okay, I'm going to use you as an example. For me, just looking at you, not knowing if that's your natural hair color or not, but looking at your skin tone, looking at your body size, and just noticing your attributes on the outside, not knowing anything about you, I would say that you have more Pitta going on than anything. I can see that you have a pink undertone to your skin, the color of your eyes and the color of your hair. So for me, I would say that you like to be detail oriented. Doesn't mean you always have to be that way, but that's the way you would prefer to be. And that if you feel overwhelmed, you don't cry, you get angry or frustrated. And so that would be a Pitta style person. Kaphas, they tend to be larger and denser in body. Now that doesn't mean that they're overweight or heavy, but it doesn't mean that they're heavy. It doesn't mean that they're overweight. So I know somebody who's about 210 pounds and cannot float in water because they are so dense that if they sit on a couch next to you, you would sink right down into them because they're so heavy. So their bones are big and their bones are heavy. So you, if you weren't more Pitta, could be Kapha in your size, but your bones would be so dense. And so you would be more prone to having constant Kapha imbalances. So here, there is a constant appetite with Kaphas, but you will have a slower metabolism, slower digestion. So that's where it can be hard to lose weight if you're a Kapha, constitution. But you're very loving and compassionate and have excess saliva and mucus. You'll have extra lubrication, so your skin would be smooth, your hair would be oily. Kaphas tend to have really big eyes, big cheeks, full lips, just everything very voluptuous. And the goal in Ayurveda really is to be more Kapha than Vata or Pitta because Kaphas are compassionate, they're loving, they're family oriented, they have all the shine to their body. But the ideal really is to have a balance of all of them. But if you're more Vata, you're going to find that you're going to be the anxious type. I'm more Vata, so I'm more anxious. I'm on the go. I like to keep moving. I talk fast. So stop me if I need to go over anything else. So a balanced dosha, and the reason why this is important to talk about how we balance it is because you can't eat to balance it if you don't know what that looks like. So here, a balanced dosha is one that is not vitiated. Dosha means flaw or fault. So your dosha dosha is the one most likely to become aggravated. So if you are more of a Vata, like myself, then Vata is the first one normally to get vitiated. Everyone is born with this dominant dosha or two, and there are tri-dosha individuals where they have an even amount of all of it. So you don't know which one will go out of balance. But everyone is born with this certain property. Property is our unique makeup resulting in our looks, our function, and our habits. And this is based on the doshas that are more dominant. And so sometimes people will look at, Vedic astrology to look at the stars and say, well, what's my path? How am I supposed to be? They all say we came in at a certain time to live life a certain way, to have certain attributes, and that goes with how the doshas are. So to keep the doshas in balance, you need to support them. By supporting your dosha type, you'll help keep your dis-ease at bay. You'll feel better, think clearer, and function at optimal performance. So the imbalance of a vata, like I said earlier, dry skin, anxiety, constipation, bloating gas, fear, pain in the body, joint cracking, trouble sleeping, and nervousness. And a pitta imbalance would have indigestion, skin issues, anger, short temper, have hot or excess heat in the body, and watery or loose stools. Kapha would have more mucus, depression, no motivation, slow agni, resulting in weight gain, edema, and lethargy. So now these are the imbalances. So you could be a vata kapha person, but have an imbalance in kapha, and so you need to balance it out by eating more vata foods. You always want to do the opposite. When we say like equals like, so if, say, you're in a pitta position and the sun's been really hot and you're starting to feel irritated, you're not going to eat chili with more spice in it to heat you up even more and also take a hot shower. You would just go off the rails. So you would want to have cucumber and mint water and take cool showers and eat grapes and, have things that are astringent and light. So that's how it's important to notice not so much what your constitution is, but what your imbalance is. What constitution is showing up as an imbalance, so that way we can correct it properly. So there's 7 types of constitutions, and there's 3 constitutions, but they have different combinations. So for me, I'm a vata pitta. Somebody else might be, you could be pitta vata or pitta kapha or just plain pitta. But again, we all have 3 constitutions, just more of one or another. Any questions before we move on? So Agni, what is that? Agni is our digestive metabolic fire that governs the digestive absorption, assimilation, and transformation of food. Agni is similar to Pitta, that it's both heating and transformative and hot, but they are separate, they are different. So there are several types of this digestional fire, but the main one is called Jafra Agni, and this is the heat and fire in the stomach. And this is what we want to activate every morning when getting up, so that way we can start digesting our food properly. There are 15 main Agnis in the body, and every organ and cell pretty much has its own Agni, whether it's gross or subtle. The qualities of Agni are hot, dry, sharp, light, subtle, spreading, and fragrant, depending, on your body temperature, how food is broken down, molecular digestion, regular digestion absorption. It travels into the capillaries and cells and maintains optimal liquid and gives taste to food. Without Agni, there would be no life, just so you know. So we need Agni to live. It is the heat that's in our body that sustains us to allow us to live. So causes for an imbalanced Agni, and the reason why Agni is important is because if you can't digest your food, like I said, you need to have the mental clarity, but you need your digestional fire to be working for you, so that way it doesn't matter how you're eating, your body can digest it properly. And when we go into the foods that we're going to do for summertime, when we talk about a cleanse, these are normally softer, easily digestible foods, so that way your Agni can get rebalanced out. So let's talk candy season. So candy season goes from Halloween to Easter, right? So, and that throws off our Agni, our digestional fire. So how do you get that back into balance during candy season? So we would use Trikatu perhaps to put on our food. Trikatu is a mix of 3 different herbs. We have long pepper, black pepper, and ginger that we would be putting on our food to help us bring our digestional fire back up so we can handle eating those foods when we do. In Ayurveda, we talk about you don't have to eat 100% of the time properly. You know, Ayurveda, like I said, is a life science, it's a way to live. And you aren't going to be living fully if you're not able to enjoy life and bring happiness. So we say 70-30, 80-20, somewhere around there. You know, 70% of the time, eat as healthy as you can. For me, it's Ayurvedically. And then 30% of the time, allow yourself to still indulge, because you still need to have happiness. You still need to have experience life. And that's going to make your mental clarity better. And it's just as long as you know that what you're taking in might upset your stomach, and then I give you tools on how to handle that, so that way your stomach doesn't get upset and you can still indulge in those things and handle it with ease. But if your digestional fire is imbalanced, some of the things that would cause that would be eating before bed or too late or at the wrong time. When I say about wrong time, we talked about eating lunch at noon because of the pitta factor. Your digestional fire is at its peak around noontime, or when the sun is highest in the sky. And that might be a little different as the seasons change and the earth moves. So you would think that because of summer being so hot, our digestional fire would be really hot at noontime. Well, not in the summer. In the summer, even it's so hot outside that our digestional fire is actually dwindled a little bit. So it's best to eat lighter, fresh fruits and things like that that are easily digestible, that are cooling. In the winter, that's the time to really eat things that are more heavy. And some people would think, well, that's not what I would want to do, but that's what you're supposed to do. Not only does it sustain you for the winter, but your digestional fire is hotter when it's colder outside. So eating at the right times, you don't want to eat too late. You know, give yourself at least 3 hours before bedtime. So like 6:30 is ideal, even though in the summer we tend to eat a little bit later. And then around between 8 and 9 for breakfast, you know, 12 to 1 for lunch, and between 5:30 to 6:30 for dinner. So improper food combinations, this would be in Ayurveda. We don't, I know this could be a big no-no for some, they're gonna be like, what? But milk and bananas, that's a big no-no in Ayurveda. We do eat bananas by itself, unless the bananas and the milk are cooked together. But if you would put bananas in cold cereal, that's a big no-no in Ayurveda. It can cause your digestional fire to be upset. Now think of your digestional fire as a pot of boiling water. When you wake up in the morning, we suggest that you drink a cup of warm water or hot water to clean the pipes out. Like if you're cleaning your sink, you're not going to clean it with cold water. When there's dry grease on it, you're going to use warm water or hot water. So it's the same aspect. When we go to eat our food, after you warmed up your digestional fire, if you add something cold to a pot of boiling water, what does it do? It stops boiling, and then you gotta wait for it to come back up. So if you're eating a lot of cold foods, especially first thing in the morning, instead of something warm, it's going to lower your digestional fire right off the bat, and it's going to set the mood for the rest of the day. It's going to be harder to digest your food. And if you find that after you eat breakfast, sometimes you get really tired, and if you think about it, what did you eat? Did you have a lot of sugar? Did you have some cold foods? Did you not eat something that was going to be easily digestible and warm? Did you not even drink warm water with it? It's going to slow you down. It's going to slow your metabolism down. So Ayurveda really, like I said, is that life manual, not just on how to live, but how to eat, and how to eat properly so that way you can function throughout the day. Eating while working or multitasking is a big no-no as well, because your body needs to digest, right, your food. If you are doing more than one thing, your body is digesting in all your 5 senses. You're reading, you're watching TV. If you're, small conversations, probably okay, but if you're involved with work or you're standing or doing things, your body is not able to properly absorb that food. Your brain is functioning on other things instead of working with your food. And you have to think that your stomach is your second brain. Really, it's the first brain. If your stomach is off, it's going to throw your mental brain off, and they work together. So it's very important that we eat healthy, we get a good gut microbiome, and having that good agni, that digestional fire, so that way we can process everything in life and function properly. So again, ice drinks, we would say no. In Ayurveda, everything is room temperature or warm. And that's hard to do in the summertime. Everybody wants ice cream, ice drinks, popsicles, and our digestional fire is already down, because it's summer, it's so hot out. So sometimes you'll find that people are way more sluggish in the summer, not only from the heat, which is the time when we should be resting, but then they throw in all the cold. I'm not saying you have to eat hot, but maybe just warm foods or room temperature foods instead of bringing down the digestional fire even more. Grazing throughout the day. Some people would say, well, I'm hypoglycemic, or, which I can be at times if I don't eat properly. And that's what it is. If you don't eat properly for your 3 meals, your blood sugar can drop. It can cause issues. So, you need to eat properly in order to process everything. And then you won't have to graze throughout the day because you will actually be full if you're eating for your body type, for your constitution, and for the season. Overeating, dining out, and the holidays, that can really throw off your digestional fire. Again, that's when we can add turpitude into our food or do things to help us process that overeating. And then unconscious eating or not mindfully eating. When you sit down to eat, have you looked at your food? Did you smell your food? When you're putting it in your mouth, are you tasting it? And do you feel what it feels like? Is there a crunch? Is it wet? Is it sweet? Is it sour? Are you being mindful of how you're eating? Are you appreciating the food that you're taking in? That is a big aspect. And if you're not taking time and you're just shoveling it into your mouth and you're chewing fast and swallowing it so you can get to the next task that you have to do, your body totally isn't going to be processing it properly, and it's going to slow your digestional fire down. Skipping meals. Skipping meals, there's a difference between skipping meals and fasting. So if you know you're going to be fasting, which can speed up the pitta part of you and get your digestional fire going higher, then that's great. But if you start skipping meals and your body realizes that you're skipping meals on the daily instead of intermittent, and just doing a little bit of fasting, then it's going to slow everything down. So it's going to hold on to your food. It doesn't know when you're going to get the next calorie intake, and your digestional fire isn't going to be warmed up and processed. So it depends on how you're skipping your meals. But I would say still continue with that. And if you're going to do a fast, that's a little different. You don't want to eat too fast. We talked about this. Eating leftovers or old food is a big no-no. We all have leftovers, maybe like a day, 2 at max. But after that, some people will do meal preps for the week, but the food starts to lose its nutritional value, quickly. So, I would say just prep for a day or 2, and then you have to do it again. But prepping for the whole week ahead of time, all that nutritional value is going to waste as the food starts to decay even more. Of course, we try to stay away from GMOs if we can. Not eating for your dosha type or for your imbalances. We have meal replacement bars and protein shakes. A lot of people go to those, and those are definitely not good for you. They're not bad for you, but it's not a full meal that you need. Drug addictions, including smoking and alcohol, definitely reduce your digestional fire. Suppressing natural urges. So that would be like sneezing, coughing, going to the bathroom, sexual impulses. You don't want to suppress the natural urges that you have, but there's also a time when you should go for all of them. If you're hungry and you're holding back your hunger, that's an issue. But if you're hungry and you continue to overeat, that's something different. Certain types of weather can disrupt our Agni, like the summer. So it lowers it down, disrupts it. Emotional factors, for sure. Anxiety, fear, worry, nervousness, and anger. And the wrong panchakarma treatment. And that's an Ayurvedic treatment that, for instance, if we are doing a massage and you put oil on your body, the oil should only stay on for about 15, 20 minutes, and then you should wash it off. Some people can go get a massage, but maybe they're mentally not feeling well, they didn't eat well. Well, your skin is the largest organ. So your skin absorbs everything. And if you have oil on your body and then you don't wash it off after a massage and you're already in a low place, it's going to make you feel lower because your body can't digest the oil that's on your skin. And it's going to sit there and clog everything up. So we have to think about a lot of different factors. But an imbalanced Agni will show up in the body as bloating, bad taste in the mouth, belching, like the meal that you had yesterday or earlier in the day. You can feel very sluggish and tired, have unhealthy skin, and that's a big one I see. People break out, have eczema, all sorts of stuff going on. With the discolorization, it could be inflamed. And then all the opposites of a healthy acne. A healthy digestional fire, you have normal thirst and, common hunger. Your tongue is clean. There isn't a huge white, residue coating it. Your tongue also would be really red. You would have normal bowel movements with no constipation, diarrhea. You have a healthy mental state and clarity, and you have strength, vigor, charisma, and healthy glow. I mean, that's pretty much everything we want in that first saying when we talk about what is a healthy person. It's basically having that healthy acne, but it says that in there with everything expanded. But if you have that healthy digestional fire, imagine how your body's going to function. Your gut microbiome is really working for you, and your brain can think clearly, and you're sleeping well, and you can handle stress properly. I mean, I don't know what else you would want in this world, but just to feel that great every day. And then everything just kind of rolls off of you like oil and water. So we have different types of irregular digestion. And just to save time, we're going to go through this very quickly. So irregular digestion here we call Vishama Agni. And this is probably one of the most common ones people will have, and this is where you experience indigestion, constipation, gas, and bloating. It could also be presented with anxiety and fear. This one you would see more in Pitta style people, where you have more heartburn, nausea, and possible vomiting, or have looser stools. This is Tikshna Agni. We have Manda Agni, which is a slower digestional fire. Here you would feel very heavy in the stomach, even if you've not had any food. Going with the heaviness, you would have items related to more of that Kapha dosha. So you would have more congestion, nausea, bloating, excessive sleep, cold, wet skin, edema, and possibly be overweight. Here you would also have more allergies and hypertension, and all of this would lead to depression. A balanced Agni or balanced, sometimes when you see a word and you can't say it, even though you've said it a long time. Metabolism, thank you. It's there. Here you would have that normal appetite and digestion, regular elimination, and it's a proper elimination. And we kind of talked about this, how your mind would be clear and calm, and you would have that enjoyment of life. All the 7 dhatus, everything would be working properly. And these are the different types of digestional fires that people can have associated with the different types of dosha patterns that they can have. And again, you're not going to understand a lot of this. It's not going to stick, but if anything sticks, just know that we're working to balance out the mind, the body, and the spirit through food and just looking at all the different ways that sit before us. Quickly, we're going to talk about ama. Ama is a buildup of toxins, impurities in the body and the mind. That's the thing that can't be digested. When I talked about the oil on the body and how the body can't digest it, then that causes ama. Ama would lead to having things like being excessively sleepy or depressed, or having mucus in your stool sometimes. So we don't want to have ama because it will lead to a low digestional fire or a low agni. And things that also could cause ama would be improper food for you, or candies and sugars, alcohol, drinking, mental ama as well. So the vata ama could be that constipation, the decreased digestional fire, dry skin, bloating. This all sounds the same as we move through, right? When there's imbalances for vata, pitta, and kapha. The pitta would have less appetite, acid indigestion, feeling fatigued and feverish. Kapha would be that phlegm, less appetite, lower agni, fatigue, cold, cough, congestion, lymph swell. So basically, we don't want ama in the body. We don't want toxins. So food plays a big part in the balance and imbalance. And there are certain foods that can help to pacify your dosha, and having that routine for your dosha type is important for that pacification. Here, we really want to just make sure that we're eating eating foods that would be good for our balancing out of our doshas. We can really get thrown out. So just remembering that like equals like. If you're craving really like a lot of sweets, let's look at the macrocosm. What's going going on outside? What's going on with my stress level? Do I have any things that are going on that would, you know, be in the kapha base that's going to make me crave those sweets? And then say, is that really what I need? Or, you know, did I not eat properly? My blood sugar's dropping down, you know, like what's going on here? And that's what I look at when I make a plan for somebody. So the qualities of food, if you are eating more vata type of food, those foods are going to be light, cold, mobile, dry, rough, clear, subtle. Those things we need to have, like oats, rice, tofu, mung beans, sweet potatoes are really great. So it's the sweet, sour, salty foods that pacify vata. Because vata is light and cold and mobile and dry, if you're having those imbalances in the body, those are the foods that you should be eating to warm your body up. Like sesame, tahini, very warm. So in the fall, in winter, when you're feeling cold and you're very vata, rubbing sesame oil on your body or eating, you know, tahini or putting sesame seeds in your foods can help you be warming. Pitta, having her hot, penetrating, slightly unctuous, light, you know, free-flowing, maybe a little strong odor. Those are those qualities of pitta. To pacify that, you would have things that are sweet, bitter, and astringent, like cucumbers and carrots, zucchini, cilantro, barley, wheat, mung beans, watermelon, coconut, grapes, apples. So that's what you want to eat pretty much right now with how hot it is outside. But if you're having more qualities of kapha, so maybe you're, you know, feeling heavy and dull, cold, you know, slimy, dense, sticky, all those qualities of kapha, then you would want to pacify it with pungent, bitter, and astringent foods like kale, cranberries, mung beans, honey, chickpeas, cauliflower, millet, lentils, oranges, mustard oil, and horseradish. So you're thinking the opposite of what you possibly are feeling or craving when you're deciding what to eat. So I'm going to tell you, recommend what you need to eat for the summer. But like I said, if you are having an imbalance and feeling the qualities of vata, then you need to be eating those sweet, sour, salty foods. Or by, you know, going through, if you're feeling more pitta, then you eat those pacifying foods, the sweet, bitter, astringent, and the difference for the kapha. So it really comes down to the qualities of everything. So digestion is a process where the mind and the body look at everything we take in, process it, take what we can use, and get rid of what we cannot. So to make sure that we're digesting our food properly, and knowing how that process is and how we're taking in food, we also need to make sure that we're digesting our emotions as well. We need to make sure our mind is strong, clear, and happy, and meditatively neutral. So we can digest those foods and have a strong agni. So I always suggest everybody meditate. Even if you're just sitting down for a moment in between commercials and you just are consciously aware of your breath. This is talking a little bit about digestion. And so just knowing that everything we hear, see, touch, taste, and smell has to be digested. And this is going back to how we're eating, multitasking, or standing, or doing things. So we want to make sure that we are taking time to really allow ourselves to digest. I'm trying to skip ahead because we're running a little bit out of time. So I would like us to finish in the next 10 minutes or so that way you can enjoy the food and ask any questions. Just gonna skip here. This is just items that disrupt the gut. And we talked a little bit about this already, the age, stress, travel, medicines, processed food, low fiber, low diverse foods, high sugar, and that's just to name a few. And all those things would cause low digestional fire and ama, which is those toxins. Okay, so this is the part we're going to talk about for summer. So summer, it's fire, it's water, that's pitta, right? It's hot, it's humid, and it's bright. So signs of an imbalance, especially in summertime, is that acid indigestion, puffiness, red skin, and inflammation or irritability. Those are signs of a pitta imbalance as well. So the qualities to introduce or reduce. So you would introduce cooling foods, neutralizing, slow and relaxing things for your day. Like I said, if you're feeling really hot and overwhelmed, you need to sit down and take a cat nap. And you want to be a little bit more dry. So you want to reduce things that are heating and hot. You don't want to go in the sauna when it's summer. You want to avoid things that are sharp and acidic, or even quick and intense and oily. A summer food guide. So foods to favor. This would be bitter and astringent vegetables like zucchini, fennel root, green beans. You want to have sweet, not sour dairy products. You can have milk or ghee. Sour would be like yogurt. Light neutral grains such as quinoa, white basmati rice, and barley. Barley is really great for kapha. Just so you know, if anybody needs to have a little bit more, barley is a great drink for people who are having kapha imbalance. We also want to have sweet neutral foods like grapes, melons, limes, and pomegranates. Pomegranates are astringent. Those are really great for pitta. Watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, those are all really great as well. Cool and light proteins. In this case, we have mung beans, tofu, lean white meats, and fish. But I'm not going to say all seafood. And when I say fish, I'm going to say more like lake or river caught fish rather than saltwater fish. There's a slight difference in Ayurveda that saltwater fish is more heating to the body than freshwater fish. You also want to take in coconuts and coconut products like coconut water, coconut milk, or just eating coconut pieces. It's very hydrating and soothing for the body. And then taking in cooling herbs and spices like fennel seed, coriander, cilantro, cardamom, mint, and aloe juice. Aloe vera juice is really great for you, especially for women. It can be a slight laxative if you do the whole leaf. So when you go to buy aloe vera juice, like say in the desert, for instance, at the grocery store, it's going to say inner fillet or whole leaf. Whole leaf is going to be more of a laxative effect. So you just want the inner fillet if you're not looking for that laxative effect. And you can have 2 ounces, maybe some pomegranate in the morning, and that would be really soothing for you, or put it in a smoothie. You can work up to 6 to 8 ounces a day, but normally 2 to 6 ounces is average for most people. You'll see in the foods that I made tonight, we have quinoa in there. And so normally we would do a khichdi for our cleanse, and that's normally made with white basmati rice and some vegetables and mung beans. But because of the summer and I wasn't sure what everybody's preference was, I did white quinoa with mung beans, carrots. There is onion in there. Even onion can be a little heating or registic, adding just a little bit in there with some brown masala, cooked tomatoes, and some other spices. So it's really great. And then in the drink, it's a lime, cardamom, coconut sugar refresher. So that's really great for cooling down the body. We also have some zucchini soup. I didn't make too much of it, but there's only a few of us here. The zucchini soup is astringent. It's very light. It's only made with 4 ingredients: zucchini, ghee, salt, and water. And it's very great for the summer. Astringent and soothing. Zucchini has a way of working in the body to make it really great. And then I made homemade ghee for everybody. Ghee can be placed on, you can have a teaspoon of ghee in every meal. You put it on toast, cook your eggs in it. You can put it on your skin. It's fabulous. It's tridoshic, meaning that it works for all the doshas. And then I made some Ayurvedic cookies. They're softer cookies that have cowpea nibs, almond flour, fresh ginger. It's a coconut. It does have egg in it though. But it's all very summer refreshing, light, easily to digest foods that you could make. And those are all things that are on this foods to favor summer food guide. So foods to reduce in the summer, or if you're having high pitta. So you would avoid spicy coffee. Now I put an asterisk next to coffee because no one's going to give up their coffee. You know, people who drink coffee, it is coffee. But if you wanted to help bring down the heat from the coffee, and instead of, some people do cinnamon, you could do some cardamom, some ground cardamom in your coffee when it brews, and that will help bring down the heat. So we're looking at the qualities and how we blend them together. Vinegar. So you don't want to have too much sour right now with the heat, but you can have balsamic vinegar in moderation. Alcohol, salty foods, raw tomatoes, raw onions, red meat, egg yolk. There's an asterisk there because it also depends on how you're cooking it. If you're going to do, for instance, deviled eggs and you're going to have a whole bunch of dill in it, dill's going to be more cooling. Perhaps what you're adding into the yolk is going to balance out the qualities of the heating of the yolk. So that's how we cook in Ayurveda, how we're going to be blending it to work. So if you're just doing egg whites, it's going to be much cooler for you. But if you're going to be adding anything into that egg yolk with the egg whites, it could change the quality. Orange juice tends to be a little bit more sour. Sour dairy products, like I said, yogurt, and anything that's fried, especially deep fried or really oily. And then of course, chilies, sour tomatoes, and honey. Honey has an asterisk next to it because honey is heating, so we're trying to avoid things that are heating, but honey is also very astringent. So there might be a time that you might need some astringency, especially if you're having allergies and it's in the summer. If you were to drink it on a cool night with some warm water, would probably be okay for you. Even if you added a little cardamom or something in there, that would be beneficial to changing that quality aspect. So a small shopping list that you could have for veggies for the summer. You're looking to get like beets and corn, cucumbers, fennel, lettuce, summer squash, zucchini, and then herbs such as parsley, cilantro, thyme, basil, mint, and dill. So parsley is a diuretic. It's really great. So if you could do tabbouleh for the summer, that would be great. Especially if you make it with white quinoa, with the parsley. You would normally have some raw tomato and onion in it, which can be a little heating, but with the parsley and cucumber in there, it would change the quality of it. It would make it cooling and more of a diuretic effect. Cilantro is not everybody's forte, but it is very cooling and helps out. Thyme has thymol in it. It's really great also for congestion and allergies. Basil's cooling, and so is mint and dill. And dill is really great also for, it's good to put with eggs because it helps your body to not have as much gas. Fruits that would be optimal for this time of year or with a PITA imbalance would be apples, berries, dates, melons, peaches, and plums. But if you are more of a Vata person, maybe eating raw apple isn't where you want to go. You should have cooked apple, like applesauce, so that way you don't get more constipated. So this is where you have to know where you might have an imbalance or what's going on and how the food works with you. Dates are really great. They're Ojas building. Ojas is kind of like our life force and energy revitalizer. So if you're feeling low in energy, especially, at any time throughout the year, you can eat some dates. Or make a special Ojas drink with dates, which is what I do, and that will help boost up your immunity and your whole system. The best grains to have this time of year are barley, quinoa, and the white basmati rice. Beans, right now they would say chickpeas and white beans for this time of year, but if you're a Vata style person, I would say no. Chickpeas are very drying. And so for white beans with the skin, it's very hard to digest and process. So if you're prone to getting gas and bloating and things like that, or more Vata style imbalance, then I would have split mung beans or regular mung beans or red lentils as your bean of choice. Fats, the best fats to have right now would be avocado, coconut, whether that be milk, oil, or shredded coconut, and then goat cheese. And the reason why we say goat cheese is because it's a softer cheese. We don't want anything sharp right now. It's hot and sharp already outside. So we're looking at that quality and seeing what quality is in the food. And so you're looking for more soft cheeses, maybe like fresh mozzarella, goat cheese. Normally I would say no to feta, but if it's true Greek feta, it's made with goat cheese. So it would probably be okay. Extras here, you could have chickpea flour, coconut water, hemp protein, and rose water. Rose is very cooling to the body. So having rose tea, even if it's warm or lukewarm, would be really beneficial on these hot days. So a summer lifestyle guide here, you can use coconut oil for Abhyanga massage. Abhyanga is just a self massage that you would do at home. Normally you do it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, or you could do it at bedtime as long as you had at least 3 or 4 hours after eating. And this just allows your body to calm itself down. It calms Vata, helps with pain management, allows circulation in your lymphatic system to clean out. And you can add essential oils such as lavender, jasmine, or rose to make a cooling aspect for you. You could practice moderation in choosing activities to avoid overscheduling yourself. You don't want to be doing too much in the summertime. Less is more here. And you want to engage in non-competitive exercises. Now I put down swimming, yoga, and walking, but totally those can be competitive. You know, you could be with somebody and you're like, oh, that's for the new, you know, so, you know, but just mindfully allowing yourself to be in those spaces without being competitive. Taking cold baths and showers, or cool baths and showers can be beneficial. Stay out of the midday sun, but do still allow yourself to be in nature. The best thing you can do if you're feeling really hot on a summer night is to sit outside at night and moon gaze. Moon gazing has a way of calming pitta and heat in the body. So when we look at our senses, all those doshas have an essence with our five senses. And pitta, which is the heat, the fire, it accumulates in the eyes. And so when we're looking at screens all day, when we're in the heat, you know, it affects our eyes. So sitting at night and meditating and just doing maybe like 3 to 5 breaths, if not longer, looking at the moon, it's going to cool you down mentally, physically, emotionally. And you'll find that it's very soothing and just allows your eyes to have a clear sense and rid the pitta out of there. You want to drink the room temperature water or cool water, but not iced or cold. And that's it. So now we have some time to go over anything that you had questions about. We can, if you don't have any questions, we can right to the food so you can get a taste test of what's going on. I know I talked really fast and we had a lot of information that we were going over, but just know that it's the quality of something that we're looking at, whether it's in food, within ourselves, or in environment. So that macro and microcosm that determines how we're going to eat throughout the seasons. And I have your email addresses. I can send you a PDF that has the recipes if you're interested, and then the shopping guide and what to take in and what not to take in for this summer. And if you have any questions regarding the other seasons, don't hesitate to reach out, and perhaps we can, you know, put something together to go over those as well. So, yeah. Do you have any questions?
You know, you mentioned about the oil, like after massage, washing that off.
Yes.
After 15 minutes, does that include like body lotion
Yes.
or sunblock, anything you put on your skin?
Yes. Yeah, so I do wear sunblock, and that's different, but I use a particular sunblock on my face that's different from the sunblock on my body. The sunblock I use all over is really just zinc based. Any doctor is going to tell you that any sunscreen that you're using should be zinc based only. The sunscreens that you look at, if you look at the ingredients, normally right now they have 4 active ingredients. They go in your blood, it doesn't leave your system ever. So the medical field is really talking about how those forever chemicals and forever whatever just staying in your body and building up, which in long term disrupts your cellular growth, which causes that disruption, and that's when cancer starts to grow. So just wearing zinc sunscreen is best. But yes, so when you're putting on body lotions and oils, it makes it hard for your body to digest. So what we recommend in Ayurveda is at bedtime is putting oil on your feet and doing a foot massage. It's good for your lymphatic system, settles you down, grounds you, helps with headaches. And depending on the type of constitution you have, you can choose the type of oil that's going to be best for you, and then put socks on. Not everyone wants to wear socks in the summer, but you know, if you don't want to get oil on your sheets, you can oil your hands, your ears, and your scalp. Those are the main things. If you're eating properly, you shouldn't have a need to put oil on your skin. You would do that oiling. Some people do the Abhyanga, that will self-oil massage every day, and some people do it once or 3 times a week. And you would start from your scalp, your face, you work down your arms, all the way down your body, let it sit for 15, 20 minutes, and then get in the shower and wash it off. You know, and you would do it, like I said, on an empty stomach. And you will notice a huge difference by doing that with your skin, how your body moves, how you feel with pain. Abhyanga is just a wonderful way to have self-care. It's almost a form of meditation, if you will, on your body and how you're feeling, and just self-love, right? So, but if you're eating properly and you don't have any imbalances, there'd be no need for the lotion, because you wouldn't have dry skin, you wouldn't have eczema, you wouldn't have things that are going on. So getting your digestion and your gut microbiome in order will help settle your skin out, so that way it, is healthier. Yeah. good?